Hello, tea friends. This is Barb Gully of Barbs Tea Service, and we are back with our podcast, courtesy on TV Studios. And I'm here with studio engineer, arm candy co-host, Chris Gully.
Chuck. Here I am.
Hi, Chris.
All right.
And welcome to Podcast 20.
They grow up so fast.
They do indeed. And I feel we're still on a high from last week when we were in here and we were celebrating International Podcast Day.
It was really something.
It was. Actually, we turned it into International Podcast Week.
Well, there's a lot of things going on.
There's a lot of things going on, and we have some enhancements to Barb's Tea Services podcast, which we're going to share soon.
Yes.
And we also have something very awesome to talk about as far as new to Barb's Tea Service, and that is tea.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but today I thought I would talk about something, not only tea, but tea servingware. What we serve our tea in.
Incredible.
So, and this was inspired by a travel anniversary that we have this week. So, Chris, do you remember where we were almost to the day 3 years ago?
Someplace not home.
That's right.
All
it
right.
was not home.
I got that right.
All right. And actually, we were in Budapest, Hungary. It was the final few days of our Blue Danube cruise.
It was great.
It really was. It was wonderful. And there's a lot of things to do in Budapest. Shop for paprika, go to the museums. But I went to one of my favorite places, Herend porcelain.
It was great.
Oh, it was wonderful. So there's a lot of history associated with Herend porcelain. I thought we'd focus in on that today. And for those of you who have your BTS bingo cards, get ready.
Okay.
Because we're going to be talking about some of our favorite topics. Royals.
Yes.
Downton Abbey.
And
more royals.
I can't wait.
And if we have time, we'll wrap up with a fashion etiquette tip.
Okay.
Because, Chris, I know you are a fashion maven.
This is true.
It is. But first, tea.
All right. Let's get that thing going here.
So today we are sampling Earl Grey Delight.
Okay.
And it's a delight in many reasons, or for many reasons, I should say. And this is a new to Barb's Tea Service currently.
Yes.
We have our own brand of tea.
Amazing.
And this is the Earl Grey. No surprise, when I was putting this together, I wanted to have at least one Earl Grey mix.
Of course.
And although it's new on the scene now, this isn't a new concept for us.
All right.
Now, many of those who have followed us for a while know that we'll be celebrating our Emerald anniversary next year.
How special is that?
It really is. 2025, it'll be 20 years of Barb's Tea Service.
Wow.
And when we started out, we were Barb's Tea Shop.
Yeah.
And at the time, we sold tea, and we sold actually our own brand of curd and jam.
Yes.
And it was very successful.
Yeah.
But, and I'm going to show, for those of you who are watching, this is, can you see that?
Yep.
This is the brand that we had. This one was strawberry preserves with champagne.
Yes.
But as we grew more into the tea talks and added to that, we kind of slowly drifted away from the retail business. But now we're back in, and I'm excited to share that.
Very good.
So today we are Barb's Tea Service, and we're back selling tea. So let's try a little bit of this.
Let's do that. Yep, it's an Earl Grey.
It is.
With a little, with some notes of something additional. What's in there?
Okay, so in addition to the usual bergamot, we do have just a little dash of lemon.
There you go.
Okay.
Yep.
But I would say it's not overly pronounced.
No.
And so if that holds you back from Earl Grey, this is sort of a in-between, middle of the road Earl Grey.
Right.
So, good.
Very good.
Okay.
All right, excellent.
All right, so Okay, we'll just keep going. There's some stuff going on outside.
Yeah.
All right. So, Chris, I'm a fan of beautiful china and servingware.
You are.
And in fact, you were tuned into this early.
I was.
When before we were married,
Mhm.
our first Christmas, you presented me with a silver coffee and tea set.
What a good boyfriend.
You were, and husband too. You
Yeah.
just kept it up.
All right.
So I loved it, and I used it.
Uh-huh.
So here I am. I'm 24 years old.
Yeah.
I have an arm candy fiance.
Wow.
I'm a graduate student with a so-so job.
Okay.
But I've got a coffee and tea service. So when people come over, I would use it.
Yeah.
I just loved it.
Your life was complete.
Almost.
Okay.
Okay, we had a family to get to.
All
but-
right. Yeah.
so anyway, I love serving. I love a good tablescape almost as much as what's inside.
All right.
It's delicious,
All right.
hopefully.
Very good.
And some of my favorites, I love Wedgwood.
Mhm.
I've been gifted Wedgwood by the family, the kids,
Right.
over the years. In fact, when I left my corporate job, I was given a Wedgwood teapot.
Yes.
It was beautiful, and
Yep.
I love that. Also like Limoges. But since we are celebrating our anniversary of being in Hungary, I thought, let's talk Herend porcelain.
Nice. Okay.
Okay. So, as I mentioned, we spent the last few days of our Blue Danube cruise
Right.
in Budapest, and our cruise director, Benny,
Mhm.
who is wonderful,
Yep.
she advised us all to get up very early as we were sailing into the city
Mhm.
so we could get the best views of the town.
Yes.
So both sides
Right.
that are bridged together,
Right.
literally,
Yep.
by the chain bridge.
Uh-huh.
So it was spectacular, and it was
Yep.
really worth getting up
Yep.
early.
It was great.
And what comes to mind when you think of Hungary?
Oh well, it was a beautiful city.
Yep.
One side, the Buddhist side's up on a hill, kind of overlooking Pest, and Pest
Right.
is kind of like the more kind of workaday part of the city.
Right.
So the history's up on the hills, and the people are kind of down below.
That's right.
Yep.
That's a great description.
Yep.
Synopsis. The Reader's Digest.
There you go.
Of Budapest. Also, some people will think of goulash,
Yes.
paprika, the Gabor sisters.
I always think about the Gabor sisters.
And I think baby boomers and above
Yeah.
will relate more to that.
Yeah. Right.
But if you're not familiar, they were kind of the Kardashians
Yeah.
of their time.
Uh-huh.
No more for their celebrity than
Yeah. Actual jobs.
jobs and accomplishments.
Right.
So there were three.
Yep.
Jaja,
Uh-huh.
Magda,
Uh-huh.
and Ava.
Yes.
And between them all,
Yep.
they had 20 marriages.
Well, they had to do something.
They did. So Jaja came in at 9,
Right.
Magda 6,
Uh-huh.
Ava, the younger sister, only 5.
She was the slacker, I guess. Although she did have a day job.
She did have a
Yeah,
day
yeah,
job,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Budapest.
Right.
So Budapest is the second biggest city on the Danube.
Right.
The first one is Vienna,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
which we went to
Yep.
as well.
A little bit upriver.
Right. And it is, the history is centuries old.
Right.
But Budapest came into being more in the late 18th or 19th century,
Right,
late 1800s.
Mhm.
And they were combined of a group of different areas, but primarily the towns of Buda and Pest.
Right.
And it was originally called Pest Buda.
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess there was a contest and somebody has to lose.
And it later became
Yeah.
Budapest,
All right.
what we call it today.
Right.
But how would you pronounce Budapest?
Well, since I'm not a psychopath, I'd say Budapest.
Well, you're an English-speaking non-psychopath.
All right. Okay. We'll go with
Okay.
that. All right.
Because we pronounce the S sound
Right.
S.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But in Hungary,
Mhm.
they pronounce the S as an SH.
That's just crazy.
So you will hear Hungarians say Budapest.
Okay.
So
All
if
right.
you think back to Green Acres,
And I do that all the time.
that great TV show,
Yeah.
when Lisa Douglas
Yeah.
is
Played by.
Ava Gabor.
There we go. Yeah.
I thought that was a
No. Some people may not know that.
okay. Fair enough.
All right.
Okay, so she was may have been reminiscing about her hometown Budapest
Yeah.
while she was making her famous hot water soup.
Yes.
It was a favorite of Ebb's.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So don't
Yeah.
don't judge too much.
Yeah.
You have your Star Trek references.
Right.
Let me have the Green Acres.
Wow. Okay.
I'm so sophisticated. Okay, so do
right.
you have any special memories of Budapest?
Well, we did all the tours and the churches and there was the very weirdly aggressive lady in a babushka smoking a cigarette. The worst sales lady I've ever seen she had some shawl or some knitted thing.
Right.
She was, kind of like, why don't you buy this?
Yes.
Several times loudly and making everyone uncomfortable. So there might have been a thing going on. I don't know.
Right. That it goes back to those memories of trips. All the museums, and cathedrals, and synagogues, and we remember the crazies, of course.
It might have been the high point. I don't know.
And you know what? It was kind of odd because that was the only thing that she was selling.
Yeah.
You thought she might have brought a little bit more to the product mix.
Yeah.
But be that as it may. Yeah. So we spent a lot of time in Buda. We spent a little time in Pest.
Right.
And that's where we went to that Cafe Frey.
Right.
I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Frei.
They're not going to come after us for that.
No, right. And we also went to that marketplace,
right?
The Great Market Hall,
right?
And that was a highlight.
It was, yeah. There was a lot going on there.
There was a lot. It's like Eastern Market for those of you who are in Detroit, but 2 levels.
Yeah.
Just all kinds of crafts and food.
Yeah.
And we bought a lovely watercolor from a local artist of the town.
Yes.
Really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
But we spent a lot of time in Buda.
Mm-hmm.
That's the older part with the castles and the cathedrals. And my happy place.
Yes.
The Herend store. So that was one of 3 in Budapest.
Right.
And this is where we went. So I thought I would give a little bit of a backstory to Herend porcelain.
Yes.
So it was started in the early 1820s.
Right.
By a gentleman named Vince Stengel.
Okay.
And he named it after the town, Herend, Hungary.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about 50 miles from Budapest. Okay. But he knew it needed to grow. He didn't have the money.
Right.
So he sold it to a gentleman named Moore Fisher.
Right.
I always want to say Max Fisher, but it was Moore Fisher.
Yeah, M-O-R.
Right, M-O-R, in 1839.
Right.
And it really did grow under Moore Fisher.
Right.
He had this commitment to craftsmanship and quality, and it just took off.
Right.
So before we talk about where it really hit in England, I thought it might be kind of interesting just to talk quickly about the ownership timeline.
Right.
So we started out with Vince Stengel. Then it goes to Moore Fisher. It's handed down to his sons.
Right.
Has a number of owners. After World War II, it becomes nationalized.
I wonder what happened. I think there was some kind of communist takeover of Hungary, perhaps.
I think you're right.
Okay, Iron Curtain and all that stuff.
All that stuff.
Yeah.
So, but kind of at the end of that tunnel,
right.
1992,
right.
it becomes employee-owned.
Right.
Because?
Yeah, because they had a little revolution after that, and here we are today.
Right, and it wasn't.
It wasn't violent.
It wasn't violent.
Yeah, it was. I think they kind of. You talk to people, they really kind of pride themselves on how that was handled. I think they called it the Velvet Revolution.
Right.
And,
right.
And so they were just telling the Russians, you need to leave.
Yes.
And they left.
yes. I think economics had a big part of that, but it is nice that it's kind of one of those times in history you go, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, as I mentioned, under Moore Fisher, he was the one who had this commitment to high-quality china, and it took off in England when he exhibited some of his porcelain at the World Expo, the first World Expo. It was the Great Exposition in London in 1851.
Yeah, was that the Crystal Palace thing?
Yes,
okay.
yeah.
All right.
So, we saw a model of that
when
we were at the Albert and Victoria Museum, right?
Right.
So, one of the great influencers of her time, again, Queen Victoria, she sees it at the exhibition. She's so taken with it. She commissions to have a set made for Windsor Castle. And it later becomes named it later is named
Right.
the Queen Victoria pattern.
All right.
Okay,
She had some influence.
she did.
All right.
She did. So this really took off in
Yeah.
England.
Right.
All the aristocrats, she made it trendy. So they're
Right.
tripping over themselves
Yeah,
to
yeah.
get Herend porcelain.
Right.
Okay. But she's not the only family
Mm-hmm.
person that
Yeah.
had a pattern named after her.
Uh-huh.
Also, the Rothschild family.
Oh, yeah.
They have one called the Rothschild bird.
Okay. That sounds interesting.
Okay, let me tell you.
Okay.
So the Rothschilds were very influential. They were a
Right.
banking family.
Uh-huh.
And they had done a lot to help Moore expand his business.
Right.
All the financial support. So
Right.
he named this pattern after them.
Mm-hmm.
And the pattern is inspired by a Rothschild family legend.
A true story, perhaps? Maybe.
I'll let you decide.
Okay. All right.
So, as the story goes, the Baroness Rothschild is
Right.
out in her garden
Uh-huh.
with her pearl necklace.
Baronessing.
Okay, and she's out there and she loses her pearl necklace.
How negligent.
Unfortunate.
Yeah.
So she's a little distraught.
Yep.
They don't find it.
Yep.
Until a few days later,
Uh-huh.
the gardener finds it.
Yep.
With some unlikely
Yes.
absconders.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
He finds the pearl necklace up in a tree branch,
Uh-huh.
and it's surrounded by this flock of squawking birds.
Yes.
It's their new treasure.
Yeah. Arguing over it, I'm sure.
Yes, this
Yeah.
was quite a prize.
Yeah.
So, as you can imagine,
Yeah.
what was on the pattern of the Rothschild bird?
Dead birds? I don't know.
Well, certainly
Yeah. Birds. Birds.
birds and pearls.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I purchased my teacup, my Herend porcelain teacup
Right.
at Herend in
Right.
Budapest.
Right.
But it wasn't my first introduction to Herend porcelain.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, the first introduction I had was in Downton Abbey.
What?
And here's where I'm going to say,
Mhm.
I think you'll appreciate this as a Trekkie.
Yeah.
Downton Abbey enthusiasts can be as obsessive
Yes.
as Trekkies.
I'd say that's true, yes.
Yes, in the minutia, the
Right.
details.
Mhm, mhm.
So I noticed early on that occasionally on Cora Crowley's breakfast tray,
Uh-huh.
there would be Herend porcelain
Uh-oh.
serving.
Wow. What an eye.
I know. So when I went to Herend store, I purchased the same. So it's called the Chinese bouquet pattern, rust color.
Okay.
And I'm going to just show the teacup here.
All right.
You see that?
Yeah.
Isn't that pretty?
Good shot. All right.
And there are different colors. This pattern comes in different colors.
Right.
But if you want to channel your inner Cora Crowley,
Yes.
you're going to
You have to.
do the rust
There's
color.
no choice.
Right.
Right.
Okay. So Herend porcelain it's not just old patterns.
Right.
They retire a lot. They
Mhm.
keep a lot of the popular
Right.
ones going.
Yep.
And then they add new ones, but they tweak some old ones.
Uh-huh. Keeping it fresh.
Keeping it fresh.
Yeah.
So for Queen Victoria, what
Right.
they did was they tweaked that a little bit in 2011
Uh-huh.
and called it the Royal Garden. That was
Oh.
for Prince William
Aw.
and Kate Middleton.
Aw.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And another royal, bingo.
Yeah.
Another royal collector was Princess Di,
Uh-huh.
Princess Diana.
Wow.
She liked the figurines.
Yes. Okay.
Now the figurines, maybe it won't come instantly
Yeah.
to your memory, but a lot of people might recognize it when I describe it.
Yeah.
They're little animals.
Oh, yeah.
They'd be like little elephants or bunnies.
Yes.
And they have this distinctive fishnet pattern.
Uh,
They come in different colors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she was really fond of that.
Mhm.
And there was a royal household tradition
Okay.
that started
Uh-huh.
where they would place a new Herend porcelain figurine in Princess Di's Christmas stocking.
Ah.
Isn't that
nice.
sweet?
It is, yeah.
I love that tradition. And in fact, I was wondering if maybe
Mm-hmm.
that might be a new Gully household Christmas tradition,
That's crazy enough to work.
a new Herend piece in Barb's Christmas stocking.
Okay. Oh, we'll check into that.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. All right. So for those who want to learn a little bit more about Herend porcelain,
Mhm.
I did write an article about that for Tea Time Magazine,
Okay.
and it appears in their June issue 2022.
Okay.
I'll just show that to
Yep.
the camera. This
There
one.
we go. Yep. Oh, we know that one. Yes. There you go.
Herend.
All right.
Okay. So they have some really nice pictures too from the Herend Company, and you'll see the stores and their different patterns.
Right.
Beautiful.
Right.
Okay. So also in the article, just a little teaser.
Okay.
There's another fan,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't want to give away his name, but he'll be back.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Wow. Okay.
So I'd like to go back
Okay.
to Budapest.
That's a great impression, by the way.
Thank you.
It's like he's sitting right across from me. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. So how are we doing on time?
We're doing great.
Oh, great. Then we can do our fashion etiquette tip.
I was hoping we would get there. All right.
I know. So in September, we talked fashion etiquette.
Right.
We talked about wearing white after Labor Day.
Uh-huh.
And then we talked about gloves. And I learned something about you that I didn't know before.
Yes.
That you love gloves.
Yeah. Of course.
So I thought today
Yeah.
we would talk about hats.
I love those too.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a favorite hat?
Well, I've acquired and lost those what do they call them? Those taxi driver hats. You
Little
know,
caps.
the caps. They're woolen caps. But anyway, I got the last one in Edinburgh. I've held on to it, I think, for a whole year or something like that. So I think we're good.
Right.
Yeah.
So you bought your first one in
Regensburg,
no, that was the second.
the second one. Oh, that's right. That's right.
The first one was in Edinburgh the first time.
I guess. Yeah.
So this one.
I love them and I lose them.
You do.
All right.
And actually, you got a compliment on the golf course.
I did.
This week.
I did.
So
Yeah.
it's you wear it well.
All right.
Okay. But when I'm talking hat etiquette,
Yes.
I'm talking primarily maybe a lot of ones that are worn by ladies,
Right.
or those who like to wear the really large
Uh-huh.
hats.
Mhm.
And that tip can
Mhm.
also be found in our book,
Yes.
12 etiquette essentials,
Right.
formal dining and tea time.
Right.
And that's where we talked about the gloves. We also cover hats.
Okay.
And again, going back to the broad rimmed
Right.
hats
Mhm.
with feathers and
Right.
ribbons,
Uh-huh.
highly decorative.
Yep.
And you may wear these to a concert
Right.
or a derby,
Uh-huh.
and they're lovely.
They are.
But you can keep them on the whole time
Right.
unless you are at some sort of theater event or event where something's
Yep.
people are there to view it,
Yeah. Mhm.
and you're obstructing their view.
Uh-huh.
So you would take it off
Yes.
and place it in your lap.
Nice.
So a few weeks ago, we went to see Moulin Rouge with
Uh-huh.
our friends Tim and Joni.
Yep.
I wasn't wearing a hat.
No.
I don't think you were.
No, wouldn't do it.
But if I had
Yeah.
one of my large brimmed hats, I
Uh-huh.
would have taken it off
Yes.
and put it on my lap.
Nice. And then when the show was over, you would throw it up in celebration.
Like Mary Tyler Moore.
That's right. Okay.
Okay. So that's the big hats.
All right.
But what about the fascinators?
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
The fascinators are interesting
Yep.
because they have no function other than to be an adornment,
But they need to be seen.
an accessory.
Right.
Some of the hats at least have the pretense of, shading us, protecting us from elements, the wind.
They're hat adjacent.
Well, a fascinator is,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
They have no purpose
Right.
really other than to make you look
Yeah.
good. But yes, they are hat adjacent.
All right.
Good point.
Mhm.
But so their only function is to like add to your outfit.
Right.
And the same thing follows for the same etiquette follows for the fascinator, because we see, even though a lot of them are small,
Right.
some of them go
Yeah.
way up.
Out of
And-
control.
Right.
Yes.
So if you're at a theater and you're
Yeah.
obstructing someone's view, just take it off, place
Yep.
it in your lap.
Right.
A lot of them are fastened by a clip
Yep.
or a headband.
Okay.
And I thought I'd bring one of my favorite
Okay. Uh-oh. Here,
fascinators.
bringing it out. All right. Look at that.
Can you see that?
That's a beauty. Yes.
Isn't that pretty?
Yes.
You're what?
I'm fascinated.
oh, that's good. Okay.
All right.
So
It's not that good.
it's pretty good.
Okay.
All right. So do you recall where I purchased that?
So it was one of our overseas forays, I think, in London, right?
It was. This was at Herod's
Right.
in London. And we were there the week before
Yes.
another royal wedding.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
This was Prince Harry and Meghan Markle.
Yes.
And
The atmosphere was abuzz.
it was electric. It
Yeah.
was fun. It was a real party atmosphere.
Yeah, right.
And we were meeting our friends Pam and Quint there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They were coming from Italy.
Some other place.
Some other place. We were coming from
Yeah.
Edinburgh,
Yeah.
where you purchased your hat,
Yeah.
the first one.
Yeah.
And we met up in London. We were going to take the Queen Mary back home.
Right.
So we decided we'd go to Herod's, and you went to your favorite place.
Yep. So they're in the basement. They've got all kinds of eateries. I think oysters and champagne or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
It's very fun.
Yeah.
Yes. So we did that, and then we went down to the hat section.
Right.
And I purchased this
Right.
because when we were coming back, the day after we got back from the cruise,
Right.
I was at the local Fox News
Yes.
station
Uh-huh.
on TV being interviewed by Charlie Langton.
Right.
And I was there representing
Right.
Birmingham Tea Room
Uh-huh.
and talking about the wedding.
Yes.
So I got to wear that
Yeah.
on
It was great.
television.
Yeah.
Yes, and I wasn't obstructing anyone's view.
No.
So I could wear it the
Very
whole time. I didn't need to take it off.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
So I think
Uh-oh. Is it going to be that time?
I think I hear something.
Okay.
Okay, so we're hearing that tea kettle,
Mm-hmm.
and it's telling us it's time to wrap up our podcast 20.
Wow.
Yes, I
Right.
know. And we want to thank everybody for listening and tuning in.
Yes.
I want to thank On TV for allowing us to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we've got some exciting things on the horizon.
Yep.
And also, for those of you who didn't get to see the teacup that I showed today, if you see our most recent blog,
Right.
we talk about glass pumpkins
Mm-hmm.
because of the time of year.
Yes.
But we also have a picture of that teacup, the Herend teacup.
Yep.
And we'd like to, once again, invite folks to write in
Yep.
and give us your suggestions, feedback. We
We
love
love it.
that.
Yep. Mhm.
Yeah, we always do. Okay.
All right.
And I'd like to say thank you, Chris,
Mm-hmm.
Arm Candy,
You're welcome.
and for everyone else, we'd like to say, please stay tuned.
All right. Excellent. And we're done.